Hello, dear ones. This is your new moon update for September. And this is a really powerful and sacred new moon. And of course, remember, the new moon is always a reset. It's a reset of a cycle, time to plant the seeds. And this is especially powerful because we have Mercury in Virgo, and we also have Venus in Virgo, and also the sun and the moon are all in Virgo, in this place of deep healing, in this place of handling the details of our vision and of life. And then we have the Jupiter aspect there. I'll break this all down for you. So the new moon is happening during the Mercury retrograde. Remember, Mercury is strong during the retrograde, and it means something specific for you, depending on the house that it is retrograding in. Things come up from the past during Mercury retrograde. Also, we're just in this deep reassessment of things, and we're not going to take action on those things that we're reassessing until Mercury goes direct. And Mercury is going direct on the 2nd, but I say wait till the 3rd or the 4th for executing anything that's important. The other things, just go ahead and move on. So the new moon is happening again in Virgo, in the lunar mansion, the nakshatra of Uttara Phalguni. Now it's happening at 8 degrees, and it's always good to look, if it's a new moon happening within a degree of one of your planets, it's a little extra strong, but overall, this is strong for all of us in the ways that I'm talking about it today. This new moon brings in a lot of grace and a lot of hope as we're planting our seeds for what we are going to create in the future, but I want to say in the future, next 30 days. And what I want to add to that is we're going to be going into eclipse season after the next full moon. Okay, so we have full moon in 2 weeks, and then at the end of October, we have eclipses coming up. So I want you to think about, before we rock and roll with the next changes that are going to happen, and I'm not going to get into all of that now. I'll do that in the October update. But what is it that you are wanting to really bring into fruition before we go through this next eclipse cycle, which shakes things up, and then they sort out, and then we sometimes take a new trajectory where those changes are happening for us. So again, this next 30 days is an important one, but there's a lot of grace here and a lot of light because of the planetary aspects. Understanding what's coming up from the past, what is it that you want to focus on next for the next immediate steps, or the next immediate thing for creating, planting the seeds in your business, in your relationships, whatever you're really working on at this particular point in time. Now, Virgo being a place of deep sensitivity and deep healing, there's a lot of inner healing going on during this retrograde if you give yourself space for that. So whatever is coming up, think of it as coming up to be, sometimes we think of it as blocks or something we need to move past, which is fine. But understand there's a deep healing going on underneath, and for humanity, especially aware of this new moon is happening in Uttara Phalguni, because it is a place of kindness and compassion for humanity. Now, I want to invite you on this new moon to really ask yourself where you can bring more kindness and compassion for yourself in this as well, because we can tend to be pretty hard on ourselves, especially when we have big visions for ourselves. On September 26th, okay, that's Monday, that's the day after the new moon, through October, until October 5th, that is Navratri, and that is the 9 nights of the Divine Mother. Ahriman, who is the deity here, helps us to alleviate suffering for humanity and also for yourself. So who can you help to alleviate suffering? And also reflecting that back at yourself during this time. Again, it's a good time to start something that's long lasting during this new moon. The actual action steps of starting it, I would say wait till after the Mercury retrograde. And again, that's wait till like the 3rd, the 4th of October. But again, that there's whatever you do choose to really plant the seeds for really has the potentiality to really take root and last for a long time. So getting clear on that is what's really important between now and when Mercury goes direct. So if in Virgo we attend, it's deeply healing, but we attend to the details. So it's a very sensitive place, but it's very practical as well. And the flip side of that is we can really get a little bit too controlling or overthinking or trying to control the details of things too much. That's the shadow side of the Virgo energy. Trust me, I know all about dealing with overthinking. I've been dealing with it my whole life. It's why I know a lot about the procrastination, perfectionism, overwhelm cycle, because it's something I've had to crack the code on. It's, part of the shadow side that I've had to deal with. We all deal with this in some way. So I want to encourage you to use the Jupiter energy, really using that visionary sage energy, that Jupiter energy is really helping us to expand that vision of what it is that we want to organize the details around with this new moon. And make sure that you don't get caught in the details, but you're getting practical about what you are going to plant the seeds for and practical about the steps you are going to take, but the important ones, not down in the minutia. That we want to let the divine handle the details, handle the how. So that's why we focus on inspired action. And a lot of times one of the things that jams our circuits is when we are going to take inspired action, but we start thinking, but then what, and then what, and all of that keeps us from just taking the inspired action, that minutia and that maze of details. And so if we just take the inspired action, the next thing to pay attention to will be brought into our awareness. So focus on your inspired actions and watch the controlling over the details of things throughout this Mercury retrograde and around this new moon, around the seeds that you are planting. Pisces is this place of selflessness in a way. It's where we're letting go. It's the end of the zodiac, so to speak, before Aries. And Virgo is more of this embodiment and this pressure to organize things. So we just have to be careful around that. And we have a lot of benefic energy. So we've got the great connector. We have Venus here, the artist and the muse as well, is in Virgo at this time as well. Now, Venus isn't super comfortable there, because Virgo wants to be practical and get things done, and Venus wants to feel and create. So, but because of the aspects, it is actually quite powerful. Whenever we have, in certain combinations, we have Venus, we have Jupiter, and we have Mercury. Those are the three benefic planets. When we have them in certain configurations, it's called a Saraswati Yoga. That particular combination between September 25th and October 18th, Jupiter being in Pisces, and then Venus and Mercury being in Virgo in this aspect, those planets, those benefic planets, are shining a lot of light in those areas of your chart and at each other. So there's a lot of hope, there's a lot of grace, and where there is light, there is more choice, and there's more conscious choice, which is very important to step out of our unconscious choices. So I'm excited for this new moon in a lot of ways. I will talk about Mars more as we come into October, because Mars is going to do this long retrograde cycle starting in the end of October. But Mars is up in Taurus, and it's going to be in Taurus wherever that is in your chart. I've talked about this before. It's going to be there really for the next 6 months. It's just going to touch into Gemini and come back into Taurus. And it's going over just a particular degrees and 2 lunar mansions, which again, I'm going to talk about in the next update for you. So wherever Taurus is for you, there is a sense of you're being called to develop more courage, more like spiritual courage in that area of light. And I just want to touch on that. So if you're feeling that, like, I really feel like I should be doing something, or I'm kind of, afraid to do that, or why is this continuing to come up? Well, Mars is moving really slow at this point. And planets always move slow before they go direct or retrograde. Taurus is. That is where you're being called to develop more of your courage and more of your spiritual courage to bring to that area of life. I'll just use myself as an example. That's happening in my house of divine purpose, my 9th house. So I'm being called to develop more courage, be more courageous about bringing my purpose to the world. And so that looks in different ways, and different things are coming up about that. And we'll do some tuning in about that next month. Beautiful, powerful, a new moon for you. And I'm excited to hear what's coming up in meditation. That's going to be super powerful. Again, for what I talked about this next, especially for this next month, what is you want to bring into fruition before we go into the eclipses. All right. So much love to you, my dears.